What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training. And today we're going to be breaking down 3 tips for quarterbacks to improve their arm strength, okay? So if you guys have any kind of video feedback or any other content that you guys would like to see next for the quarterback position, we always appreciate the feedback, so don't hesitate to leave that in the comment section below, fellas. We really appreciate it. Let's get started. So first things first is going to help you with your arm strength, because a lot of times when you guys throw this ball deep downfield, you're taking a hitch, right? So when you take a hitch, so many quarterbacks have incorrect mechanics on a hitch, and we're going to be looking at this throw here from Kyler Murray honestly about 50, 60 yards downfield, and we're going to talk about it. So he goes off of this play action fake, and he takes this hitch up and drives this ball way downfield, okay? So how's he able to get so much power on this thing? So when he takes this hitch, what so many quarterbacks do is at the top of their drops, they get to this position right here. I call it like a kickstand position. You look like you're a kickstand on a bike. All your weight is on your front foot. You have no weight on your back foot. Now, if you guys have been following this channel, you know that I like to talk a lot about weight transfer. Your back foot needs to have weight on it. You need to be able to transfer your weight to the front foot to be able to get your hips to rotate through, right? Because that weight transfer is what will get your hips to rotate through. A lot of quarterbacks think that, oh, I just need to rotate with my hips. Not necessarily the case. You need to be transferring your weight and getting weight to your front foot. So a lot of quarterbacks struggle when they take a hitch because they keep their weight right here. They'll hitch up, but they never get their weight shifted back. You see how Kyler, he almost like kind of rocks his body back. He takes that hitch and look at all this weight from the front foot, shifts to the back foot, because now when I'm loaded like this on my back foot and my back foot is underneath my back shoulder, I can actually transfer my weight. And that little rock with your body weight and that little rock of your legs will give you some more momentum so you could transfer the weight through. Because his whole goal when you guys get to this position and you have momentum shifting back, now I could transfer it through. And now when I transfer my weight through, that can get my hips to rotate through, and that gives me more power on the ball. When it comes down to arm strength, fellas, it's all about ground force and rotational force. Ground force, aka weight transfer, rotational force, aka hip drive. So that hip drive comes from the transfer of the weight. So make sure, fellas, when we take a hitch, if we have weight on my front foot, I'm shifting it back. I'm getting that back foot underneath my back shoulder, so I make sure that I'm in a good position to transfer my weight. And now we're going to take a look after this at a clip from Aaron Rodgers and how you can efficiently get your hips to rotate through that will help your arm strength improve. So first tip, make sure when we take that hitch, we shift that weight to the back leg and we rock that weight back. Let's watch it again full speed. Great job by Kyler getting the back foot under his frame, allowing him to transfer his weight and drive this ball downfield. So now, before we take a look at this clip here from Aaron Rodgers on this across field throw that is incredibly tough, I want to talk to you guys about a great opportunity we're offering this offseason. We're going to be traveling out to 7 more cities across the U.S. for 2-day-long quarterback and wide receiver training camps. So we're going to be coming out to Newark, New Jersey next. We've already been to Phoenix, Arizona, Houston, Texas, and we went out to Tampa, Florida in January. Then we're coming out to Newark, like I said, Atlanta, Georgia, Columbus, Ohio, Chicago, Illinois, Dallas, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, and Los Angeles, California. So if you guys want some more information on our off-season camps, what we'll be covering, all the details of it, check out that very first link in the description, fellas. At this camp, we're only limiting spots to 10 to 12 quarterbacks and 10 to 12 wide receivers per position group, per age group, okay? So it's going to be a smaller scale camp. Our camp is not, let's get as many kids out here as possible and do a quick little money grab. It's, let's get 10 to 12 guys, and let's actually develop them for 2 whole days. That's the goal of this, is to actually teach you, to actually coach you, and help your skills improve. So if that's something you feel like you could get some benefit from this offseason and you're local to one of these 7 cities or would like to travel out, fellas, spots are limited, so I'm sure all these are going to fill up. Our Newark camp is already completely sold out. Check out that very first link in the description below. Again, fellas, if you would like to sign up and get some work in with myself and my staff of coaches, we would really appreciate it and love having you out there. Let's get back to this video. So now, like we talked about, we want that back leg to be in a good position, right? So we talk a lot about the hitch up, talking about shifting your weight back. But now when you get to there, we obviously want to transfer my weight. But what should that look like? You know what I mean? What does the weight transfer look like? What are some of the mistakes that quarterbacks make? So this is a great example of Aaron Rodgers transferring his weight perfectly. So he's going to be rolling left and making a throw back across the field to his right. Incredibly tough throw. Very, very tough throw. He makes it look way easier than it actually is. So when he goes to make this throw, this is a perfect weight transfer from his lower half because he's able to get his front hip to open up. So let's talk about that, right? So when he lands to make this throw, where's that back foot? Back foot has weight on it. Back foot is underneath his back shoulder, and look at his weight. His weight is shifted back, just like in that clip we showed of Kyler Murray. Now, Here's the thing. So many quarterbacks, like you guys all throw different. You know what I mean? Like so many quarterback coaches teach like it's one way. You have to get to perfect L to L. Your base has to look like this. Everybody's different. All quarterbacks are different. But the key things that you see a lot of the elite guys do and that works for them, that's what you want to add to your game. And some of the key things are going to be your front side, which we will talk about in a second, your lower half, your weight transfer, and your hip rotation. That's pretty much it. Everybody throws the ball different. Everybody's body is made different. Everybody's body is a little bit genetically different than the next guy, so you might have a different throwing motion, you might have a different stroke, whatever it is. So this is one of the key things that you want to try to emulate to your game is where this back foot is located, how his weight is shifted back, and how he transfers his weight. So now when you're here, what so many quarterbacks have been taught is you want to push off of the back foot. You want to push off of the arch. And yes, I am cool with that phrase if you don't push this way and not rotate your hips. The reason why I kind of shifted my lingo to saying, hey, you want to drive off the back quad, you want to shift your weight forward, is because I found that helped quarterbacks eliminate a longer stride. What a lot of quarterbacks will do is when they think push, they push off of a mound and their energy is going this way instead of that way, instead of rotating, right? So if you just think of that drive off the back leg as like a shift of weight, you see how Rodgers just shifts that weight through and he shifts the weight to the outside part of that front leg. That gets your hips to rotate through. That gets your back hip to rotate through. And when the hips go through before the ball, that is how we get more power. So make sure tip 2 to increasing that arm strength is all about shifting the weight, not pushing off the back foot. If you can shift and get your hips involved, that makes that throw way easier. That takes stress off of your arm and you'll be able to throw it harder with more velocity if your upper side is discipline. And now what does that exactly mean? What does it mean to have a disciplined upper side? And that's what we're going to get into. So let's play this thing full speed one more time. Great job by Rodgers transferring his weight, staying square on the finish, and driving this ball downfield on a very, very tough across field throw. So now, what are we talking about with the upper body, right? So obviously back foot's got to be in a good spot like we see here from Bryce Young. Obviously you got to be driving off the back quad to get your hips to rotate through. But when you think about throwing a football and hitting a baseball, those are two of the exact same like body movements, I guess you can say, because it's all about hip and shoulder dissociation, right? So what does that mean? That means separating your upper half from your lower half. That means like on a baseball swing, right? You don't pivot off of your back foot when you're hitting a baseball and open up your shoulders at the same time, right? You have your shoulders back, you pivot off of that, your hips come through first, then the bat trails behind. Don't know how many of you golf. Quarterbacks usually like to golf. And when you go up with the club and you rotate your shoulder, you don't go just arms. You're not just bringing your arms through and trying to hit the golf ball. You're bringing your hips through and the club is trailing behind. Same thing when you're hitting a football. You want to try to be here, or when you're throwing a football, excuse me, you want to try to be transferring your weight and your front shoulder is slightly closed. Because when your front shoulder is slightly closed, now there's like a slingshot of energy here, right? You're transferring your weight and those hips are going through before the shoulders go through, and now you have some torque. Now it's like, okay, the hips are rotating me through first, my shoulders are trailing behind, but now when we finish on the throw, I'll play this thing full speed from Bryce Young one time first. When we finish on the throw, we want to try to stay as square as I can. So what do I mean by staying square? I mean, to get that like snap, to get that velocity of the motion to where you have that coil of energy, this hand can't keep swinging open. Yes, you want to start out closed at the shoulder. Yes, you want to get to here. Front foot should be down and that front shoulder should be closed. But when you rotate through, you want the hips to rotate you and your upper half stays completely square. Your hips and your shoulders, I should be able to draw a square from shoulders all the way to hips. Because when you keep that hand there and you're able to rotate your hips and transfer your weight, and you're able to have that shoulder closed on the foot strike, that gives you that, like, there's so much torque there. There's that separation with the upper and the lower half that creates that snappiness, that whippiness, or you hear a lot of the Elite 11 guys say twitchy. He's a twitchy thrower. That's what creates that, and that's what gives you more velocity on the ball. So third tip, make sure that when that front foot gets down, that front shoulder is closed, and when I finish, that front hand stays somewhere by my face, and my hips and my shoulders, I can be able to draw a square to the target so I get that snap to the throw. I'm sure you guys all know what I'm talking about. If you don't, watch Aaron Rodgers throw, watch Patrick Mahomes throw, watch Josh Allen throw. Bryce Young's a great example. They all stay square and that front hand stays by their face because that gives them velocity, that gives them a coil, and that lets their hips make the throw rather than you being an arm and shoulder thrower. Let's watch this thing again full speed. This is a perfect example of front side discipline here from Bryce Young. And again, same things applied that we talked about in the first two quarterbacks. Back leg, shifting weight, and then a great disciplined upper half. That's the recipe for arm strength, fellas. Those 3 things, if you can do that, you will see more velocity and more distance on your throws. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave that in the comment section below. We always appreciate the feedback, and it's always great to hear from you guys. You guys help keep the channel rolling. And again, fellas, if you'd like to come out to one of our 7 off-season camps that we were having in Newark, New Jersey, Atlanta, Georgia, Columbus, Chicago, Dallas, Nashville, and Los Angeles, very first link in the description below, fellas. We'd love to have you out. See you guys next time.